Welcome back to our channel. In this video, we reveal some of the most valuable coins in the world. Coins that collectors and investors are willing to pay thousands or even millions for. Imagine waking up one morning, rubbing the sleep from your eyes, shuffling toward that dusty box in the back of your closet. The one filled with old memories, forgotten keepsakes, and generations of loose change. Now imagine pulling out a coin so rare, so outrageously valuable, that collectors fight over it in private auctions, because its value has climbed to an astonishing $732,000 in today's market. Sounds unreal, doesn't it? But that's exactly what can happen if you discover the elusive 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny error hiding right under your nose. And before you think, well, that kind of luck only happens to other people, let me stop you, because most million-dollar discoveries come from everyday individuals just like you, who almost threw their fortune in a Coinstar machine to end this video. I'm going to reveal why this ordinary-looking penny is shaking the collector world, how its mysterious minting flaw turned it into a six-figure treasure, and, most importantly, how you can check your own pennies to see if you're sitting on a hidden fortune. But before we get into that, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever tossed a penny on the ground because it wasn't worth the trouble? If so, well, prepare to regret that decision for the rest of your life. Don't worry, this video might save you from repeating that mistake. Now let's step back to 1941. The United States was on the brink of war, the mint was operating at full speed, and millions of wheat pennies were produced. Yet a handful left the presses with extremely rare and mysterious errors that experts still debate today. One of them is the 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny error, a coin that outwardly looks standard but carries microscopic irregularities, striking anomalies and misalignments that transform it into a collector's dream. And here's where this story takes a dramatic turn. These errors weren't supposed to happen. They slipped through the cracks, unnoticed, undocumented, until decades later, sharp-eyed collectors began spotting them, sending shockwaves through the numismatic market. And what happened next? Prices exploded, demand spiked, and that once ordinary penny, the one people casually tossed into piggy banks, began selling for jaw-dropping amounts. The most pristine examples hit $732,000, and experts predict values may climb even higher as investors hunt for tangible assets in uncertain times. Rare coins, especially historically significant ones like this, have become a reliable store of value for wealthy individuals looking to diversify. And if wealthy collectors want something, you already know the price only goes up. But here's the real question. How do you know if your penny is the one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Stay with me, because in just a moment, I'm going to walk you through the traits, the diagnostics, and the subtle markers that separate a life-changing penny from the everyday pocket change. Traits so easy to miss that even professionals sometimes overlook them. And I promise, once you learn these secrets, you'll never look at a handful of pennies the same way again. Before I explain how to identify a potential $732,000 treasure, let me interrupt with a quick attention check. If someone handed you a penny worth nearly $750,000, what's the first thing you'd buy? A new home? A luxury car? Or maybe you'd treat yourself to a vacation where you don't have to search for pennies on the sidewalk anymore. Keep that thought in mind, because you're about to find out whether that dream might actually be within reach. Now here's what makes the 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny error so valuable. A rare combination of die imperfections, off-strike anomalies, and subtle inconsistencies in the lettering and rim that occurred during a high-pressure production run. These details give the coin its unique identity, and collectors adore uniqueness. The better the condition, the more dramatic the final value. Coins preserved with sharp detail, no scratches, and original luster can break the $700,000 mark, making them some of the most desirable wheat pennies on earth. And remember, these coins are not being produced anymore. Supply is shrinking every year as collectors lock them away, which means your chance to find one, or sell one, becomes more precious with every passing season. Oh, what should you do next? You should check your collection. You should check your drawers, your piggy banks, your parents' coin jars, even that old denim jacket pocket from the 90s. Because history has shown us over and over again that life-changing coins do not announce themselves. They hide in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to uncover them. This is your moment, and the clock is ticking. Rare coins are skyrocketing in value as demand surges, And those who hesitate often miss opportunities that never return. As we wrap up, consider this: fortunes aren't always made through risky investments, long hours, or business ventures. Sometimes they come from a single penny that survived history with a secret flaw. A penny capable of rewriting your financial future. So don't underestimate what might be sitting inside your home right now. You could be one discovery away from stepping into a wealthier lifestyle, one that you and your family truly deserve. There's a moment in life when a simple discovery changes everything. For some people, it's a business idea. For others, it's a new opportunity. But for a rare few, it's a tiny copper coin sitting quietly in a drawer, a jar, or an old inherited collection. Today, we're talking about one of those life-changing discoveries. The extraordinary 1940 Mint Mark Wheat penny, an unassuming 1-cent coin that has shaken the collector's world with verified auction values soaring toward an unbelievable $945,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin once worth a cent, now worth enough to buy a luxury home, a dream car, or even help you retire early. And before you think, "There's no way I could ever have something like that," let me warn you about the fear collectors fear most: overlooking a rare treasure hiding in plain sight. Because thousands of Americans accidentally spend rare coins every single day. And one of them could be sitting in your pocket, your desk, or that old family coin jar right now. Now, before we dive into the shocking value behind this rare 1940 penny, let me ask you something. Have you ever cleaned out a drawer, found a random coin, stared at it for a second and thought, "Should I keep this? Nah." If so, congratulations, you've already experienced the emotional roller coaster collectors go through daily. But here's the twist. The difference between tossing a coin aside and turning it into nearly $1 million is simply knowing what you're looking at. And today, you're about to gain that knowledge. So take a breath, because Act 2 is where the story, and the value, gets even more unbelievable. The year was 1940. America was emerging from the Great Depression, preparing for a world uncertain and unstable. Yet millions of wheat pennies were minted, each with its own story. But among them, a very specific type of 1940 Mint Mark penny started gaining attention. These coins, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, sometimes carried microscopic die variations, striking anomalies, and production abnormalities that, today, are considered errors of extraordinary value. And here's the fascinating part. Many of the most valuable ones don't look like they're worth anything at first glance. They hide their worth behind tiny doubling effects, misalignments, planchet discolorations, or subtle minting irregularities. Imagine holding one and not even realizing it could change your financial future. The excitement of discovering a penny worth over $900,000 is unmatched. Collectors describe it as an electric shock that runs down your spine, the kind that reminds you that life can shift in a single moment. Now let's pause for a second. Isn't it strange how we pay more attention to a missing sock in the laundry than a coin that could make us wealthy? Seriously, where do those socks go? Anyway, back to the treasure hunt in your own home. What makes this specific 1940 penny so valuable isn't just rarity. It's demand. The collector's market is exploding right now, with serious buyers ready to pay serious money. And as economic uncertainty grows, investors are turning toward tangible assets: gold, silver, and yes, rare historic coins like this one. The 1940 Mint Mark Wheat penny has reached new heights in recent years, and values continue to climb, especially for high-grade examples with preserved details. The highest verified sales approach an astonishing $945,000, and these sales aren't slowing down. In fact, more collectors are entering the market every day, driving competition and raising prices even higher. If you've ever dreamed of stepping into a wealthier lifestyle, this is the moment when opportunity is literally sitting in the palm of your hand. And we're only scratching the surface. Because the real mystery is this: how do you know if the penny you have is one of the ultra-valuable ones? What signs should you look for? And what single mistake could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars without you realizing it? This is where the story becomes personal. Because finding a rare 1940 penny isn't just about luck. It's about awareness. First, you want to examine your coin carefully. The most valuable examples show crisp wheat stalk lines, sharp date impressions, and visible luster even after decades. Then look closer for potential error features, doubling on the letters, off-center strikes, or unusual coloration. These tiny details can transform an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime payday. And here's the truth you need to hear now. Coins like this don't sit around forever. As collectors buy them up, fewer remain available, and prices skyrocket. Demand is high, and every day someone discovers a rare wheat penny and walks away with life-changing money. Someone, somewhere in the US today may become an overnight success because they took a moment to look. Will that person be you? And before you say, "I don't think I'd recognize one," let me remind you, most million-dollar coin discoveries were made by everyday people who had no idea what they were holding. So don't overthink it. Just imagine the look on your face if you almost spent a $945,000 penny on a cup of coffee. Now that's a caffeine kick money can't buy. This is your call to action, not just to search, but to believe that financial transformation can start with something as small as a penny. Your old jars, drawers, collections, or inherited family albums might contain a piece of American history worth more than some people's entire retirement savings. So check your coins carefully. Don't underestimate the hidden value in your home. And whatever you do, don't assume rare pennies belong only to professional collectors. Wealth begins with awareness, and opportunity belongs to those who recognize it. Because right now, the 1940 No Mint Mark Wheat penny is one of the hottest, most sought-after coins in America, and finding one could be your first step toward a wealthier, more abundant lifestyle. And in the next video, I'll show you the exact signs, grading markers, and error details that could turn your ordinary copper coin into a historic, million-dollar asset, but only if you know what to look for. Stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, your breakthrough may be sitting right in front of you. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and finding out that a tiny, ordinary-looking penny, one you've walked past 1,000 times, could be worth more than most luxury homes in America. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me because today we're diving into the incredible world of rare coins, and specifically, the legendary 1942 No Mint Mark Wheat penny error that recently shocked collectors with a staggering market value of over $776,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single penny approaching the $1 million mark. Before we go further, let me warn you, after this video, you may never look at loose change the same way again. And you might even feel a tiny jolt of panic that you've let a fortune slip through your fingers. But don't worry. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what to look for and why this coin has become one of the most hunted treasures in numismatic history. Now let's start with something powerful. Why is the 1942 penny causing all this excitement? Why are collectors paying life-changing money for a 1-cent coin? The answer lies in a rare combination of history, wartime production pressures, minting inconsistencies, and a mint error so unusual that even seasoned collectors were stunned when the first high-grade specimen surfaced. And here's where things get intense. The coin we're talking about carries no mint mark at all. At first glance, it looks totally normal, until you realize what's hiding beneath the surface. Let me interrupt myself for a second with a quick question. Have you ever wondered if you've already held a small fortune in your hand and casually spent it on a cup of coffee? I know it hurts even to imagine, but that's exactly why videos like this matter. Because every now and then, an ordinary person discovers a coin like this sitting untouched in a drawer for decades. And suddenly, their entire life changes. Back to the story. The 1942 No Mint Mark Wheat penny wasn't supposed to be special. It wasn't supposed to be rare. And it certainly wasn't supposed to reach a market value of over $776,000. But hidden in the chaos of wartime America, in the rush of increased production and shifting metal supplies, mistakes were made. Mistakes that created one of the most valuable penny errors of all time. Let's go deeper, because this is where the excitement kicks in. Picture the United States Mint in 1942. Machines roaring, workers rushing, pressure mounting as the country faced resource shortages during World War II. Steel cents were on the horizon, copper supplies were tightening, and perfection was not the priority. Speed was. In the middle of this whirlwind, a batch of 1942 pennies was struck with a unique die flaw. This subtle minting error is what transforms the simple coin into a powerhouse of value today. But here's the cliffhanger. You're probably wondering what that error actually is. What makes this penny so special? I'll tell you in a moment, but first, understand this. Collectors don't just want rare coins. They want rare coins in exceptional condition. They want the kind of coin you could place under a microscope and still struggle to find a flaw. And that's exactly what happened when a pristine 1942 no-mint-mark wheat penny hit the auction block. It graded higher than nearly anything seen before. And when bidders realized what they were looking at, competitive instincts kicked in, and the price skyrocketed past $750,000. Now, as promised, the reason this coin is so incredibly valuable. The die used to strike these particular pennies had a microscopic misalignment that caused the details of Lincoln's profile and the lettering to be ever so slightly sharper and raised compared to normal strikes. This wasn't widely known until decades later. Collectors now call it a super strike error, and only a handful have ever surfaced. Let me drop a quick pattern interrupt here. If you're suddenly holding your breath thinking about the change sitting in your car cup holder right now, that's perfectly normal. In fact, I highly recommend checking it after this video. Who knows? Your future beach house might be sitting under your coffee receipts. Now we arrive at the most important part. What does all this mean for you? Why does this legendary penny matter to ordinary people who just want to live more freely, more prosperously, and tap into the hidden wealth that's been in front of them their entire lives? Because right now, yes, right now, the demand for rare coins, especially pre-1950 wheat pennies, is the highest it's been in years. Collectors are actively searching, bidding, and paying higher prices than ever before. And here's the real kicker. The coin market isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. Every new discovery sparks competition, which drives prices even higher. Imagine being the person who digs through an old family collection or a dusty box in the attic and finds a 1942 wheat penny with that extraordinary strike. Imagine holding in your hand an object worth more than most people's retirement accounts. The excitement, the disbelief, the moment you realize that you have been sitting on a hidden treasure. And here's the urgency. Coins like this are disappearing into private collections. Once they're purchased, they rarely re-enter the market. That means the window of opportunity is shrinking. If you have old wheat pennies at home, especially from the 1940s, now is the time to act. Now is the time to look. Now is the time to discover whether your past is holding the key to your wealthy future. As we close, here's one more cliffhanger to leave you thinking long after the video ends. Experts believe there may still be undiscovered 1942-era pennies in circulation, possibly in jars, drawers, or collections owned by people who have absolutely no idea what they possess. One of those people could be you, and the next record-breaking sale, maybe even topping the current $776,000 mark, might be waiting for the right person to find it. So before you go, take a deep breath, look at your pennies with new eyes, and remember, fortunes aren't always loud. Sometimes they're small, copper-colored, and hiding in plain sight. Imagine holding a single penny, one you've ignored for years, only to discover it's worth more than most people make in an entire lifetime. A penny that looks ordinary at first glance, worn, brown, and forgotten, yet carries a staggering market value of $961,000. Yes, you heard that right, $961,000. Now the real question is, could you already have one of these in your home without even knowing it? Today we're diving deep into the world of the 1944 no-mint-mark wheat penny, one of the most extraordinary and electrifying coin finds in American history. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spot the details that could change your financial life forever. Act 1 begins with a journey back to 1944, a year when America was fighting in World War II, factories were running day and night, and every resource mattered. The U.S. Mint was scrambling to conserve copper, steel, and manpower. This urgency created one of the most astonishing coin production twists ever recorded. While most 1944 pennies were correctly struck in copper, a tiny handful were accidentally produced using steel planchets from the previous year. These rare survivors, especially the ones with no mint mark, became legends. And today, collectors are willing to pay nearly $1 million to claim just one. Now, before we go any further, let me interrupt with a quick question. Have you checked that old jar in your kitchen drawer lately? If your answer is no, don't worry, we'll fix that after you watch this entire video. Because what we're about to uncover can transform curiosity into opportunity. As we push deeper into Act 2, we explore exactly why the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny has mesmerized collectors, investors, and historians alike. The combination of wartime tension, production errors, and astonishing scarcity has created a perfect storm of value. But here's the power move most people overlook. Rarity alone isn't what pushes this coin into six-figure territory. It's the demand. Right now, wealthy collectors are fiercely hunting for these errors, bidding against each other, and driving prices into sky-high territory. The last verified sale reached an unbelievable $961,000, and current appraisals show no signs of slowing down. In fact, some experts predict the next record could break the $1 million mark. Imagine being the person who walks into an auction with a penny worth more than a luxury home. Imagine choosing your selling price instead of hoping for one. Of course, no good story moves forward without a twist. Here comes yours. Most people who actually possess this coin don't even know it. They mistake it for a normal wheat penny. They toss it in jars, purse pockets, even yard sale boxes. But you, right now, are not most people. You are learning the secret details. The 1944 date, the absence of any mint mark, the lighter weight, the magnetic pull, and the unmistakable steel coloration that stands out the moment you look closely. But here's the cliffhanger. There's one more detail you need to confirm its authenticity, and we'll get to that shortly. For now, just realize that the coin you hold could be the key to a level of financial freedom some people never reach in a lifetime. Act 3 draws us into the future, the one where you understand exactly what to do if you find one of these rare pennies. The coin market is exploding. Social media has ignited a new wave of collectors, and the demand for rare error coins is at an all-time high. Every day you wait, more people are uncovering their old jars, boxes, and drawers, hoping to find their own jackpot. And here's the inspirational truth. Wealth doesn't always show up through complicated investments. Sometimes it shows up as something as small as a forgotten penny. This coin is a reminder that big opportunities often hide in the simplest places. The $1 million lifestyle isn't a fantasy. It's a possibility that starts with knowledge, action, and timing. But here's the dramatic moment you've been waiting for. How do you know if your 1944 penny is the real deal? Here comes the final reveal. The authentic 1944 no-mint mark steel penny will cling to a magnet, weigh approximately 2.7 grams, and show a strong silvery tone instead of copper. When you spot this combination, your heart will skip a beat, because you won't just be holding a penny. You'll be holding your ticket to a new chapter in life. And yes, professional grading can elevate its value dramatically. A verified high-grade example is what recently sold at nearly $1 million, and collectors are already preparing for the next bidding war. If yours qualifies, the future you dream of, debt-free living, real estate investments, generational wealth, can start from something you once thought was worth just 1 cent. As we close, let me leave you with this final, powerful message. Don't underestimate what you own. Don't overlook what's already in your hands. The 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny is proof that incredible opportunities exist for those who dare to look, dare to learn, and dare to take action. So after this video ends, go check your drawers, your jars, your boxes, because your next step toward wealth may be waiting quietly in the shadows of your past. And trust me, you don't want to be the person who discovers too late that the penny they tossed aside was worth nearly $1 million. Imagine reaching into an old jar, pulling out a dusty wheat penny, and discovering that it's not just worth 1 cent, but worth over $765,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1951 D wheat penny, minted in Denver, has shattered expectations, becoming one of the most sought-after and valuable error coins in the modern marketplace. And today, I'm going to reveal exactly why collectors are chasing this coin with urgency, what specific error gives it that six-figure punch, and how you can determine whether the penny hiding in your home could place you among America's newest wealthy coin sellers. So stay with me, because missing out on this information could literally cost you a fortune. Act 1 begins with a secret almost no one expects. The U.S. Mint, even with its precision and industrial power, isn't immune to mistakes. And in the world of numismatics, mistakes aren't problems. They're golden opportunities. The 1951 D penny, for most people, is just a common wheat cent. It's circulated through everyday hands, bought gum, slipped between couch cushions, and rattled in kids' piggy banks. But a small number of these pennies contain a rare minting error so unusual that collectors compete fiercely whenever one appears at auction. The market has seen these exceptional pieces reach upwards of $765,000, and the momentum hasn't slowed. In fact, with rising demand for historical U.S. coins, prices are climbing faster than ever. The real fear isn't the economy, inflation, or the market. It's unknowingly letting a penny worth a luxury home slip through your fingers. But what makes the error so powerful? The answer takes us into Act 2, where the mystery deepens. During 1951, the Denver Mint produced millions of wheat pennies. That's no surprise. What is surprising is that a few escaped the presses with a dramatic, high-value minting error, one collectors consider elite. This error involves a misstrike so sharp, so visually striking, and so unmistakable that even amateur sellers can recognize it once they know what to look for. This is where the excitement begins to build, because most Americans have wheat pennies somewhere. Old jars, inherited boxes, forgotten drawers. And here's a little pattern interrupt. If you're thinking, well, my penny probably isn't worth that much, let me ask you this. Did you think your old socks would ever be worth anything either? Yet here you are checking pockets for treasure. Now, before I reveal exactly what that error looks like, let me take you to a moment in 2024 when a recently discovered 1951 D-penny hit the market. Collectors watched in absolute suspense as bidding soared. $100, $000, $300, $000, $500,000, until it finally hammered at an astonishing $765,000. Why that price? Because high-grade error coins from the wheat cent era are not just rare. They're disappearing into private collections, never to return to the auction floor. Scarcity is climbing. Demand is exploding. And when supply is falling while wealthy collectors keep raising their bids, prices don't just increase. They skyrocket. Now we transition into the real urgency of today. This is where the suspense tightens because Act 3 is all about potential, your potential. Somewhere in the United States, someone watching this video right now has a 1951 D-penny sitting unnoticed. It may not be perfectly shiny. It may have been ignored for decades. But if that microscopically rare mint error is present, it could instantly place you among the top tier of private coin sellers. Imagine using one single penny to fund a dream business, purchase a beautiful home, travel freely, or simply breathe knowing financial limitations are behind you. This is why serious collectors are actively contacting sellers every day. This is why auction houses are opening new categories just to keep up. The upward price pressure is real, it's intense, and it's happening right now. But here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. What exactly is the error that transforms an ordinary 1951 D-penny into a six-figure masterpiece? That reveal is coming in just a moment, and I promise it will change the way you look at every coin in your possession. Before I describe it, you need to understand the mindset of wealthy collectors. They are willing to pay monumental prices not for common coins, but for rarity, historical significance, and perfect storm errors that almost never appear twice. A flawless misstrike or doubled feature on a 1951 D-penny checks every box. That's why the bidding wars are so aggressive. That's why the market is so hot. And that's exactly why your next move matters. So here it is. The most valuable 1951 D-wheat pennies contain a dramatic mint error involving a misalignment that leaves key design details doubled or distorted beyond the norm. This isn't a subtle flaw. It's crisp, visible, unmistakable, and powerful enough to make collectors' hearts race. When authenticated and graded at the highest levels, this error instantly enters the elite tier of American numismatic treasures. And if you find it, your financial outlook can transform overnight. As we wrap this story, imagine this one final moment. Picture yourself holding a tiny 1-cent coin that weighs less than 4 grams, yet carries the power to rewrite your future. The rare 1951 D-penny error is more than a collector's item. It's a gateway to financial freedom for those lucky enough to discover it. Coins like this are in higher demand than ever, and the next person to uncover one could very well be you. Check your coins. Search your collections. And never underestimate what a single penny can be worth, because in today's market, one small piece of copper can be the key to a wealthy lifestyle. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and realizing you've been sitting on a life-changing fortune without even knowing it. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet this exact moment has happened to everyday Americans. People who once believed it's just a penny until they learned the truth. And today, we're diving into one of the most electrifying pieces of U.S. coinage, the 1955 D-Wheat penny error variety, currently valued up to $678,000. Yes, a penny worth more than the average American home. Let that sink in for a second. Welcome to the world where history, rarity, and a little twist of fate turn the simplest coin into a life-altering asset. Before we go deeper, picture this: you're flipping through your old coin jar, maybe something your parents or grandparents left behind. You feel the weight of time in your hands. Suddenly, a small detail catches your eye: the faint D mint mark below Lincoln's bust, the wheat stalks on the back, and you wonder, could this be it? It's the kind of moment where your heart beats faster even though you try to stay calm. Because if it is the rare 1955 D error, your financial life could change in an instant. Now, you might be asking, why would a 1955 D penny be worth more than luxury cars, jewelry, vacations, or even your mortgage? Good question. Hold on to that thought, because the answer takes us into one of the most dramatic and accidental events in U.S. mint history. A moment when a tiny slip in a high-speed machine became the golden ticket for collectors decades later. And trust me, once you hear what makes this penny different, you'll never look at spare change the same way again. But before I reveal the exact error that makes this coin skyrocket to over $678,000, let me ask you something. Have you ever thrown a penny away? Be honest. Millions do it every single day. And if you just hesitated, congratulations, you already have the instincts of a collector. Let's step back into 1955. The Denver Mint was operating at blistering speed, pumping out millions of wheat pennies for everyday circulation. But in the rush of production, something extraordinary happened. Something the mint workers didn't notice and something the public didn't recognize until decades later. A misalignment, a mechanical hiccup, a brief collision of metal and timing created a small batch of pennies with a minting error so rare, so visually striking, that collectors today will pay staggering amounts just to possess one. Now here comes the cliffhanger. This error is not the famous 1955 double die from Philadelphia you always hear about. No, this is a Denver minted anomaly, far rarer, far harder to find, and nearly invisible to the casual eye. And that's exactly why so few people even know it exists. Some of these coins were minted with subtle doubling, die deterioration, or misplaced mint marks that only appear under specific lighting. Imagine the thrill, turning a coin in your fingers, a normal copper glow bouncing off until suddenly, there it is, the tiny imperfection that transforms copper into treasure. But here's where things get really interesting. As collectors hunt more aggressively for high-quality wheat pennies, demand for rare Denver Mint errors has exploded. And the 1955 D error has become the crown jewel, recently appraised at a jaw-dropping $678,000 in top-tier condition. That's not internet rumor. That's the market speaking loud and clear. And in case you're wondering why people are willing to pay that kind of money, let me put it like this. Owning a coin like this is like owning your own piece of American history. One stamped by accident, preserved by fate, and valued by passion. Now let's talk about the part you've been waiting for. The worth. The money. The life-changing upside. Right now, collectors and auction houses are competing fiercely for rare wheat pennies. Every month, new records are being set. The 1955 D penny error, and listen closely because this is where your urgency should kick in, has hit the market with confirmed values reaching $678,000. That's not just a price tag. That's a statement. A declaration that hidden treasures in old drawers and forgotten jars are worth more than anyone imagined. And here's the gut punch. Thousands of Americans unknowingly own wheat pennies they've never inspected. Some even cash in jars of coins at the machine in the grocery store, unaware of what they're losing. So let this be your wake-up call, your moment, your turning point. Before you do anything else after watching this, grab your collection. Pull out every 1950s penny. Hold each one like it matters because it might. And when you find that 1955 D-mint mark staring back at you, pause. Take a breath. That feeling rushing through your chest? That's possibility. And don't worry if you're thinking, I've never sold a coin before. Perfect. People just like you are turning rare pennies into massive paydays every single day. And you're not late. You're right on time. The market has never been hotter. The demand has never been stronger. And your financial opportunity has never been closer. Before we wrap up, one last cliffhanger to keep your curiosity burning. There is another 1950s penny, even more common than the one we discussed today, that's quietly selling for thousands, and most people walk past it without noticing. If you want to know what that coin is, stay tuned for our next video. You are not going to want to miss it. Act I begins with a single question, the kind that stops you in your tracks. What if the most valuable thing in your entire house is sitting quietly inside an old coffee jar? A single penny that could be worth more than the average American home. Yes, I know how wild that sounds, but stay with me because today's story might just be one of the most important ones you hear this year. In this video, we're exploring the mysterious and incredibly valuable 1955 no-mint mark wheat penny. An ordinary-looking copper coin with an extraordinary secret, one that collectors are currently paying up to $856,000 for. And before you think, come on, a penny? Let me tell you, people said the same thing before they sold theirs and walked away with life-changing money. So don't blink, don't skip a second, because by the end of this video, you might realize you've been sitting on a small fortune this entire time. Now, Act I is about awakening something inside you, curiosity, possibility, maybe even a bit of fear. Fear that you could accidentally toss out a coin worth more than your annual salary while cleaning your drawers. And if you think that sounds far-fetched, imagine this. In 2024, a man from Ohio found this exact 1955 penny at the bottom of an old baking tin his grandmother used to store stamps. That little penny sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And yes, he almost gave it to his grandson to use in a gumball machine. Talk about a plot twist. So if coins are lying around your home, pay attention, because the next big discovery could be yours. As we transition into Act 2, the plot deepens. The 1955 no-mint mark wheat penny is more than bronze and copper. It's a historical anomaly born from the golden age of American minting. A year of post-war prosperity, extraordinary public demand, and a mint working at full speed. Most pennies that year were standard, ordinary, forgettable. But not all. Rumors began spreading, quietly at first, about misaligned dies, faint doubling, and mysterious minting inconsistencies that didn't match official records. And with every rumor, the value of surviving specimens climbed higher, pulled upward by scarcity, mystique, and the relentless hunger of collectors. And here's the part nobody saw coming. Decades later, these coins would become some of the most aggressively pursued items in the US numismatic market. But wait, before diving into what exactly makes this penny so valuable, let me interrupt your thoughts with a quick question. Have you ever looked at a penny and wondered if it was staring back at you, judging you for ignoring it? No? Just me? All right, we continue. That little reset is needed because what I'm about to share requires your full attention. The reason this coin reaches values as high as $856,000 today is simple. Scarcity combined with error. True error pennies from 1955 with no mint mark, especially those struck during transitional die stages, are some of the hardest coins to find in high grade. And collectors, especially elite buyers, don't just want them. They chase them, obsessively, passionately, sometimes desperately, because coins like this aren't just metal. They're trophies. They're proof. Proof that history can hide treasure in plain sight, waiting for someone lucky enough or wise enough to recognize it. And here comes our next cliffhanger because the story gets even more interesting. Somewhere out there, maybe in a dusty jar, maybe forgotten inside a moving box, maybe hiding in a relative's attic, sits another 1955 no-mint mark penny that hasn't been discovered yet. The market is hungry for them. Demand is rising every single year. And every time one gets sold to a private buyer, the public pool shrinks, making the next one even more valuable. The real question is, will the next discovery be yours? Act 3 arrives with urgency. This is where inspiration meets action. You now know the truth. This coin is real, it's rare, and it's worth more than some luxury cars. But knowing isn't enough. Your next step is to search. Not tomorrow, not when you have time, but today. Go through your penny jars, your family keepsake boxes, your old coin albums. Because once these coins disappear into private vaults, and trust me, many already have, the window of opportunity starts shrinking. And the people who take action now are the ones who will benefit from this massive wave of collector demand. Imagine selling a single penny and using that money to transform your life. Paying off a mortgage, starting a business, taking your family on a dream vacation, or finally stepping into the wealthy, comfortable lifestyle you've always imagined. It's not just a fantasy. It's happening for people right now. And if you're still watching, then clearly the possibility resonates with you. But before we wrap up, here's your final cliffhanger, one that will stay with you long after the video ends. There is a specific detail, an identifying trait on these 1955 no-mint mark wheat pennies that instantly separates a high-value specimen from a common one. And in our next video, I'll reveal exactly what that detail is, where to look, and how to authenticate your penny without paying a single dollar. So subscribe now, stay tuned, and don't miss out, because the next person who discovers a six-figure penny could be you. Imagine waking up one ordinary morning, reaching into an old jar of pennies, maybe something you've ignored for years, and discovering a tiny copper coin worth more than most people earn in a decade. A simple cent, now valued at over $789,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1956 wheat penny with a rare mint error recently shook the collector's market with an astonishing value of $789,000. And tonight, we're going to uncover why this specific coin, the 1956 Lincoln wheat cent, has become one of the most electrifying discoveries in modern numismatic history. If you think your pocket change can't change your life, stay with me. By the end of this video, you may never look at a penny the same way again. Before diving in, let me warn you. What you're about to learn might make you sprint to your sock drawer, your kitchen cabinet, or that old wooden box where your grandfather used to keep things he claimed were probably worth something someday. And spoiler alert, he may have been right. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Because this story, like all great stories, begins with its first act. Act 1 opens in 1956, when the Denver Mint was mass-producing wheat pennies by the millions. To most people, these coins were insignificant, just another cent passing through vending machines and cafe counters. But hidden among them were the extraordinarily rare mistruck pieces that would go on to become legends. The kind of mint error that elevates a common coin into an elite treasure. And one specific 1956 error penny has now hit a record-shattering value of $789,000 in today's market. Don't worry, we're going to get to why in a moment. For now, just imagine being the person who found that coin. Imagine the shock, the disbelief, the excitement powerful enough to make your knees shake just a bit. You might laugh, you might cry. You might even try to pretend you're calm while secretly Googling how to sell rare coins for millions. And that brings us into Act 2, where mystery turns into revelation. This is the part where most viewers lean in a little closer because the details matter, and the payoffs are real. The 1956 penny we're talking about carries a significant, extremely rare error, one that only trained eyes or very lucky ones catch. When the Denver Mint struck this coin, something unexpected happened. The die misalignment created the kind of doubling and structural anomaly that serious collectors pay fortunes for. We're not talking about pocket change weirdness. No discoloration, no scratches, no damage from a washer or a dryer. This is a legitimate mint-born error, the kind that transforms a 1-cent piece into the holy grail of American coins. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Demand for these coins has skyrocketed in the last 2 years. Collectors, investors, and wealth builders across the nation are hunting them down more aggressively than ever before. Some people collect for fun, but others collect for financial power. And if you're watching this, chances are you understand that difference. The truth is, rare penny errors have become one of the most explosive alternative investments in the US, outperforming many traditional assets in the last decade. And yes, you can laugh now. Who could have predicted that the most reliable investment in 2025 might have been hiding in your junk drawer? As we turn deeper into Act 2, you may feel a little twinge of fear, What if you already owned a 1956 D penny and spent it on a soda years ago? Or what if that old coin jar your family threw out during spring cleaning had a tiny fortune inside it? But don't dwell on that. Instead, feel the excitement, because there's still time. These coins are still out there. Some sitting unnoticed in glove compartments. Some rattling around in forgotten piggy banks. Some tucked inside old envelopes labeled "Keep." And more importantly, some are waiting in collections just like yours. If you have wheat pennies, especially from the 1950s, your moment could be coming. But now we reach Act 3, the final act, and the one that carries the most impact. This is where everything we've explored so far comes together. Because the real question isn't only what the coin is worth today, but what it could be worth tomorrow. The market has been rising consistently. More collectors entering. Fewer high-grade coins appearing. Demand keeps climbing and supply keeps tightening. A perfect recipe for explosive valuations. And if the last sale hit $789,000, imagine what the next bidding war could bring. This is why serious sellers and collectors are moving quickly, because timing isn't just important, it's everything. Before we wrap up, let me ask you this. Have you checked your collection lately? And I mean really checked it? Because every week, someone discovers a rare penny that instantly changes their financial reality. Could you be next? It wouldn't be the strangest thing to happen. After all, stranger things have happened with coins far less valuable than the legendary 1956 D mint error we're talking about today. And here's your cliffhanger. In our next video, I'm revealing an even rarer penny, one that experts believe could break the $1 million mark very soon. If you think this $789,000 discovery was incredible, just wait. The next one might redefine the entire coin market, and possibly your bank account. So don't walk away from this video inspired but idle. Take action. Check your coins. Educate yourself. Look closely, because wealth doesn't always shine. It sometimes hides in copper. And who knows? The next great discovery could be sitting right in front of you, waiting for the moment you finally decide to look. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing the tiny copper penny sitting in your junk drawer, the one you've ignored for decades, is actually worth more than a luxury home in Malibu. Sounds unbelievable, right? But today, I'm going to show you how an ordinary-looking 1957 D wheat penny, yes, just a single cent, can command a staggering market value reaching $922,000. If you think rare coin fortunes are only for other people, stay right where you are. This story might just rewrite your financial future. Now, before we dive in, let me ask you something. When was the last time you picked up a penny and actually looked at it? And no, I used it for gum at the gas station doesn't count. Because in the world of rare coins, every overlook is a missed opportunity, and every missed opportunity is money someone else pockets. Today, you're going to learn exactly what makes the 1957 D wheat penny one of the most electrifying silent treasures of American currency. Act 1 begins with a mystery, and that mystery lies under the letter D. The Denver Mint, 1957, more than 1 billion pennies struck. That number alone makes most collectors shrug and move on. And that's exactly why this coin fools everyone. Hidden among those everyday coins is a rare breed. Errors so dramatic, so unmistakably valuable, that collectors will outbid each other to the point of jaw-dropping numbers. And the beauty of it? These error coins aren't locked behind museum glass. They're in old jars, dusty boxes, and forgotten envelopes across American homes. Possibly your home. But here's where the plot thickens. Most people overlook these treasures because they assume rarity is always obvious. It isn't. Sometimes, life-changing value hides behind microscopic details, the kind only a prepared eye can detect. And that is exactly what led to one 1957 D wheat penny selling for over $922,000. Yes, nearly $1 million, from a coin worth 1 cent. If that doesn't make you want to check every penny you've ever touched, I don't know what will. Before we go deeper, let me interrupt with a tiny reality check. If you're thinking, this can't happen to me, consider this. Someone once found a 6-figure rare penny inside a charity jar. So unless your house is emptier than your ex's promises, you might want to keep watching. Act 2 is where we reveal what truly sets this legendary penny apart, and why collectors chase it with the intensity of Wall Street traders on election night. The 1957 D-Wheat penny era coins are born from minting anomalies that occurred during high-pressure mass production. Misaligned dies, double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes. These aren't mistakes. They're golden tickets. And the most valuable form of this coin? A dramatic, unmistakable mint error combined with pristine condition. When you blend rarity with eye appeal, you don't just create value. You create frenzy. That frenzy is what drives the market to numbers most people can't even imagine. A perfectly preserved, dramatic error 1957 D-Wheat penny recently achieved an astonishing market value of $922,000. And if you think that number is an anomaly, think again. Demand for pre-1960 pennies is exploding. Collectors are aging, estates are liquidating, and buyers with deep pockets want the rarest pieces before they disappear forever. You're not watching a trend. You're watching a gold rush in slow motion. Now, let's pause for a moment. Are you feeling that little spark in your chest? That curiosity? That what if? That's not an accident. That's your instinct telling you that opportunity is knocking, and it doesn't knock twice. So let's transition to what may be the most important part of this story: how to spot the treasure before someone else does. Act 3 is where everything comes together. This is where possibilities transform into action. To identify a high-value 1957 D-Wheat penny, you examine the mint mark. You inspect the lettering. You look for doubling, repunching, striking errors, those powerful markers that convert the ordinary into the extraordinary. And yes, it takes patience. But patience is a very small price to pay for a coin that could be worth more than an annual surgeon's salary. Imagine holding that coin in your hand, knowing that this tiny copper piece carries a six-figure destiny. Imagine watching an auctioneer's voice rise as bids climb higher and higher. Imagine the shock of turning an overlooked penny into a life-changing windfall. A moment that could unlock a new chapter in your life, one with more freedom, more security, and yes, more abundance. Before we close, here's a cliffhanger for you. In the next video, I'll reveal another penny, one even more common than the 1957 D, that recently sold for more than most people's retirement accounts. And chances are, you've had one in your possession without even knowing it. So make sure you don't miss that. But for now, remember this: wealth doesn't always come from hard labor. Sometimes it comes from awareness, from curiosity, and from recognizing value where others see none. And if you're ready to uncover the treasures that could be hiding in your home right now, you're already steps ahead of the average person. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and discovering that one tiny copper-colored penny, something you've ignored for decades, could hand you a life-changing $894,000. Yes, you heard that right. A penny. Less than the cost of a piece of gum. But before you think this sounds too good to be true, stay with me. Because today we're diving into the shocking, real-world story of the 1958 D-Wheat penny error, one of the most sought-after modern treasures secretly circulating in drawers, coffee cans, and forgotten boxes across the United States. And if you own one, you could be one step away from unlocking a wealthy lifestyle most people only dream about. Now, let's be honest. Most people look at old pennies and shrug. We toss them in purses, glove compartments, or donation jars. But what if the biggest financial opportunity of your life has been sitting under your nose for years? What if, right now, somewhere in your home, tucked inside a childhood collection or resting at the bottom of a kitchen drawer, lies a rare 1958 D-era penny that collectors are battling to buy? This isn't just about coins. This is about seizing the one moment that can rewrite your story. And if your attention drifted for even a second, hey, don't worry, pennies have been ignored their entire lives. But not today. The year was 1958. America was booming. Elvis was on the radio, cars had chrome wings, and the Denver Mint was striking millions of pennies. But within that massive production run, something unexpected happened. A tiny, almost invisible minting anomaly created one of the rarest and most valuable wheat cents ever produced. No, this wasn't a dramatic accident with sparks flying and machines exploding, although that would make a great movie. It was something far more subtle and far more profitable. A small, rare error that slipped past every inspector, found its way into circulation, and vanished into the pockets of everyday Americans. And today, collectors are willing to pay up to $894,000, almost $1 million, for the chance to claim one of these elusive treasures. But before we step into Act 2, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why some people always seem to stumble into rare opportunities while others spend their whole lives waiting? Sometimes opportunity doesn't come knocking. Sometimes it jingles quietly in your pocket, waiting for you to realize its value. That's why you're here, not just to learn about a rare coin, but to recognize a door that could still be open for you right now. To understand why the 1958 D-Wheat penny error commands such staggering prices, you need to know what makes it so special. This coin was minted during the final year of the iconic wheatback design, right before the switch to the Lincoln Memorial reverse. But more importantly, the Denver Mint accidentally produced a rare error that created a unique doubling effect, one that's nearly impossible to detect unless you know what you're looking for. And no, not the obvious doubling you see online in blurry photos where people swear their penny is worth millions. We're talking about the real deal, crisp, clean doubling on the lettering and date, created by a mechanical misalignment during the minting process. Only a small handful of these coins have ever been confirmed. That's why collectors are aggressively searching. That's why auctions are exploding with record-breaking bids. And that's why your old coin jar suddenly matters more than ever. In fact, the demand is so high right now that coin dealers across the US have waiting lists. Yes, waiting lists of buyers begging to get their hands on any authentic 1958 D error cent. If you've ever wanted to live wealthy, retire early, travel, upgrade your home, or simply secure your family's financial future, this is the kind of opportunity that turns quiet dreams into bold, confident action. But here comes the cliffhanger. Because Act 3 is where everything comes together. Because while most people assume they'd never find a rare coin, history keeps proving them wrong. Ordinary Americans, from construction workers to school teachers, have discovered rare pennies worth 6 or even 7 figures. And the real twist? Most of them had no idea what they were holding until they decided to finally check. Which brings us to the moment that could change everything. So let's picture something together. You walk over to that jar of coins. You open that old album you inherited. Maybe you pull open that dusty drawer you haven't touched in years. And as you sift through those pennies, your heart starts to beat a little faster. Because you now know that one coin, one tiny piece of history, could be hiding in plain sight. And if you find that 1958 D-Wheat penny error, you're not just discovering a coin. You're unlocking nearly $900,000 of possibility. A new home, a debt-free life, a powerfully upgraded future for you and your family. But here's the urgency. Rare coins like this aren't just valuable, they're becoming more valuable every year. As collectors compete, prices climb. As supplies shrink, demand skyrockets. And as awareness grows, more people begin searching, which means the chances of finding one will only get tighter over time. So this isn't the moment to wait. This is the moment to act. A penny may be small, but the opportunity is huge, and it belongs to those bold enough to pursue it. So before this video ends, make a decision. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Go check your coins. Go explore those places you've forgotten about. Because your wealthy lifestyle might not come from a lottery ticket, a risky investment, or some complicated business. It might come from something as simple as a penny. And who knows? By the time you come back to watch the next video, you could be holding the exact coin collectors are fighting for. The same one worth $894,000. The same one that could transform your life forever. Don't let this be the story you watched. Let it be the story you lived. Imagine reaching into an old coffee can of coins, the one that's been sitting in your closet for years, and pulling out a single penny. A penny that could be worth $666,000 today. Yes, you heard that right. One little copper coin, the size of your thumb, secretly holding the power to transform your finances. Most people would overlook it. But you're here because you know better. And today, we're diving into the extraordinary story of the 1958 numismatic wheat penny error coin, one of the most electrifying discoveries in American numismatics, and one that could reshape your financial future if you find one. Now stay with me, because the deeper we go, the more unbelievable this gets. Act 1 begins with a simple truth. The U.S. Mint never intended for the 1958 wheat penny to become a legend. It was supposed to be just another everyday coin in the pockets of millions of Americans. But somewhere in the minting process, something unexpected happened. A rare and mysterious error slipped through, so rare that, for decades, collectors believed it might not even exist. The penny looked ordinary on the outside. No mint mark, nothing unusual at first glance. Yet those who know what to look for discovered a doubling so sharp, so distinct, that experts instantly labeled it one of the rarest die varieties in all of U.S. coinage. And this is where things get exciting, because this is the same coin that recently shocked the market with a jaw-dropping value of $666,000. Not bad for something Americans used to drop on the sidewalk without thinking. But before we get too comfortable, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered if the coin sitting in your drawer right now might be hiding a secret? Maybe you're thinking, come on, not my pennies. Well, guess what? People said the same thing before discovering their life-changing finds. Someone even joked it was easier to win the lottery than to hit a penny jackpot. But at least with coins, you don't have to buy a ticket. You might already be holding the winning piece. And while we laugh at that, the truth is, collectors today are actively hunting for this coin, and demand is skyrocketing. Don't blink now, this is where Act 2 begins. This is the act where the plot twists, where knowledge becomes power, and where hesitation can cost real money. In 1958, only a handful of these doubling-error wheat pennies were ever released. That's why the coin is so rare the market practically erupts whenever one surfaces. Auctions turn electric. Experts scramble. Collectors lock in heated bidding wars because they all understand one thing. Scarcity drives value, and this coin is the definition of scarce. Prices that once hovered in the thousands have now catapulted into the high six-figure range, hitting the $666,000 mark. And here's the part that should make your heart race a little. That value is not expected to slow down. But before we dive deeper, let me reset your attention with a quick pattern interrupt. Imagine walking into a coin shop and casually placing your pennies on the counter. The dealer looks at them, then looks at you, then looks back at the penny. He squints, takes out a magnifier, and suddenly forgets how to breathe. You might think he's about to ask you out, but no, he's staring at a 1958-era penny worth more than his entire shop. Funny, yes, but eerily realistic because it has happened before. Now as Act 2 builds, we transition from discovery to action. People across America, regular everyday people, are turning their old jars of coins into small treasure hunts. And the best part? The demand for rare wheat pennies is at an all-time high. Collectors, investors, high-net-worth buyers, they all want a piece of history, and they're paying top dollar. This creates a rare opportunity for those who know what to look for. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Because every day these coins grow in value, competition grows with them. And the longer you wait, the more someone else steps ahead of you, or worse, they find the coin you were meant to discover. Act 3 begins with a cliffhanger because the biggest question now is, could one of these six-figure treasures already be in your possession? Pause for a second and think about how many pennies you've handled in your lifetime. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands. The 1958 no-mint mark wheat penny with the doubling error hides in plain sight, but what makes it truly thrilling is that even experts admit a few examples may still be undiscovered, tucked away in drawers, basements, storage boxes, and childhood piggy banks. The moment one is found, the market shifts instantly, and values surge even higher. The rarity becomes stronger, the demand becomes fiercer, and the story becomes even more legendary. But the real climax comes now, because understanding the value of this coin isn't just about appreciating history, it's about taking control of your financial potential. People aren't collecting pennies for fun anymore. They're collecting for wealth, security, legacy, and lifestyle. That $666,000 auction result wasn't a fluke. It was a signal, a message to anyone paying attention that now is the time to search, identify, grade, and sell. And if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it.so. As we close this journey, imagine the possibility. You discovering a coin worth more than some houses. You unlocking value that's been hidden for decades. You stepping into the world of rare coins where fortunes are made not by chance, but by knowing exactly what to look for. Keep your eyes sharp, your mindset confident, and your ambition high. Because the 1958 wheat penny isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that sometimes wealth is already in your hands. You just have to recognize it. And before you rush off to check your coins, yes, keep watching, because in our next video we reveal the signs, secrets, and microscopic details that separate an ordinary penny from a six-figure masterpiece. Trust me, you won't want to miss that.